This time on episode 325 of Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., we discuss Jessica Jones, Season 2, Episode 7, aka I Want Your Cray Cray, and Season 2, Episode 8, aka Ain't We Got Fun.
I'm SP from the GonnaGeek.com show, a weekly geek news podcast that is part of the GonnaGeek.com network. Just like the show you're checking out now, shows on the network are individually owned and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other amazing geek shows at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
You have been granted clearance by Director Alfonso Mack Mackenzie. Stand by for a S.H.I.E.L.D. debriefing. All information to be discussed here is classified and may only be discussed among agents granted clearance by the S.H.I.E.L.D. Director.
Now it's time for your scheduled debriefing. I'm Director SP.
I'm Agent Lauren.
And I'm Agent Michelle.
Welcome to Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., a Marvel Comic Universe fan show. The show is recorded on Sunday, March 29th, 2020, live from the Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. studios and broadcast worldwide, definitely the boroughs wide, via www.geeks.live. Come and join our live chat as we record. Ladies, happy National Mom and Pop Business Day.
I feel like that's a more relevant holiday than ever right now.
It is. It's been going on for quite some time on March 29th every year, but especially with what's going on right now in a lot of mom and pop stores potentially closed because they're not essential businesses in the middle of the COVID-19 response. Yeah, I think it is. So if you have a chance to go online to your local mom and pop store, like your local comic book store might be a mom and pop store, go ahead and try to get them some business online.
For those of you who may not be familiar with the vernacular of mom and pop business, we're talking about small businesses.
And it was created way back in the day because Rick and Margie Siegel founded it because they wanted to honor couples like his parents, Rick's parents, who successfully had a hat shop, which was opened in 1939 and grew into a 10,000 square feet and $2 million a year business clothing store.
Pretty good.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing that'll happen. Well, probably not much anymore these days, but you can hope that sort of thing will happen for your favorite mom and pop stores by, again, right now, ordering online or calling them, like right now, ordering from family-owned restaurants is a great thing to do.
Yeah, and most places you can still do pickup for those locations. Or delivery, one of the two. All right, so with Mom and Pop Business Day behind us, or actually still in front of us, let's get on with the rest of the show. Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a fan-based podcast on the ABC television show Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the multiple Marvel small screen series like Jessica Jones that we'll be talking today, and the Marvel Cinematic and comic book universes in general.
Because of hippie doctors and rage monsters.
If you'd like to talk to us about hippie monsters and rage monsters and hippie doctors and rage monsters, you can find us on our website, legendsofshield.com.
You can call us at our voicemail, 844-THE-BUS-1. That's 844-843-2871.
You can find us on Facebook at Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. Podcast.
You can find us on Twitter at Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D.
You can watch our videos, youtube.com/GonnaGeek.
You can tell your Amazon device to enable Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. skill.
And remember, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a proud member of the GonnaGeek.com network.
We are missing Agent Haley tonight, but she was actually with us before we went live, and she had a massive hardware failure. We're not quite sure exactly what's going on, but I can confirm that she was actually with us. She was in her new studio. She had bookshelves behind her. It was going to be really neat to have her back on the show. And she just couldn't get going. You might hear her in the outtakes. I don't know what I captured and what I did not capture. So we'll see what we get there. But she is off at least for another week because of hardware issues, and we will miss her. But she was here, right, ladies?
Yeah,
Yes.
It was good to see her face again after so long.
All four of us actually existed in the same digital space for a few moments.
It was very nice. And yeah, moving and the associated stresses and mishaps is Not fun.
Haley really wanted to talk about Jessica Jones, and hopefully we'll get her take on it next week as we are in the penultimate Jessica Jones season 2 episode. We'll have the final episode after that, but since we're taking 2 episodes a week, then no, we have 2 more episodes. I was wrong. Michelle, you were supposed to stop me before I went that far wrong.
Yeah, I couldn't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. And we can inform you that, yeah, we still have, like, this is episode 7 and 8. Then we got 9 and 10, and then 11 and 12. And then we'll talk about
the finale 13.
Finale.
Okay. So that's what we're going to do in the future. But in the meantime, we're going to talk about episodes 7 and 8 right now. We're going to talk about Jessica Jones, Season 2, Episode 7, a.k.a. I Want Your Cray Cray, and Season 2, Episode 9, a.k.a. Ain't We Got Fun. The episodes premiered on Netflix March 8th, 2018, along with the rest of Season 2. Lauren, why don't you run down the creative team of I Want Your Cray Cray?
All right. Starting out, this episode was directed by Jennifer Getzinger, who has 30 directing credits starting in 1998. With 1 of Desperate Housewives, 2 of Suits, 2 of Masters of Sex, 10 of Mad Men, 1 of The Man in the High Castle, 1 of Daredevil, 4 of Outlander, 3 of Jessica Jones, and 2 of Westworld. The episode was also written by Hilly Hicks Jr., who has 7 writing credits starting in 2002, including 1 episode of Army Wives, 3 of The Big C, 6 of Chicago Fire, 1 of Feed the Beast, and 6 of Jessica Jones.
Michelle, please run down the creative team for Ain't We Got Fun?
This episode was directed by Zetna Fuentes. 32 directing credits starting in 2003, including 22 episodes of One Life to Live, 2 Forever, 6 Switched at Birth, 5 Pretty Little Liars, 2 Scandal, 2 Longmire, 1 This Is Us, 1 Jessica Jones, 2 Ray Donovan, 6 Jane the Virgin, and 2 Cursed. This episode has 2 writers. First, Gabe Fonseca has 5 writing credits starting in 2011, including 1 Private Practice, 5 Night Shift, 1 Jessica Jones, and 1 Wu-Tang: An American Saga. Second writer, Jack Kenny, has 14 writing credits starting in 1987, 2 of The Secret World of Alex Mack, 6 Dave's World, 3 of Titus, 3 The Book of Daniel, 7 episodes of Warehouse 13, 2 Falling Skies, 3 Jessica Jones, and the show is based on the Marvel comic by Brian Michael Bendis and Michael Gaydos.
Falling Skies. Now there's an apocalyptic show I haven't seen in a couple of years. Was that on TNT or was that on USA? I remember it was on the
TNT.
TNT, yeah. I watched it all the way to the end.
It's TNT.
Mm-hmm. It was okay. I don't think I would recommend it to anybody, though. It was one of those, I guess, summer B shows, and it kept on declining in production resources every year to the point where I don't even know why they had a last season, but they did, and they wrapped everything up, and I was good with that. So it wasn't one of the shows that was canceled. They actually wrapped everything up. Just like The Last Ship, they wrapped everything up with that. So I think The Last Ship was better than Falling Skies. I don't know. Either you two watched Falling Skies, Last Ship?
I watched some of the first season of Falling Skies, and I just couldn't get into it, and I didn't watch Last Ship at all.
I tried getting into Last Ship, didn't. I actually watched all of Falling Skies because it was one of those summer popcorn things, and then I just couldn't. It was like, I was wanting to stop it, and then I heard they were going to wrap it up, and I'm like, fine.
Yeah, a couple good characters in there, though.
They did.
A couple of good, strong women characters, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just plot-wise and...
Yeah, I'm not going to debate you there. Anyway, Let's get on with Jessica Jones here, a.k.a. I Want Your Cray Cray. Lauren, I'm going to give this to you because you're my Cray Cray girl. What is the meaning behind this title?
Well, both episode titles are actually musically based. I Want Your Cray Cray is named after the song that we see young adult Trish singing. I guess in kind of her Hannah Montana trying to cross over to adult songs phase. And Ain't We Got Fun is the song that Jessica's mom keeps playing and singing to kind of like center herself.
I think Miley Cyrus might be a better direct correlation there.
Yeah, so I thought this in the first season, and it's kind of the parallels are there with the wig and the child actor and everything.
Didn't Miley Cyrus play Hannah Montana?
Yes.
Yeah, so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the.
Finally, somebody caught it.
Patsy, going from this twee kids show image to the very sexualized, trying to cross over into adult music image. And in Trisha's case, she's calmed down. She's gotten sober. She went on to have a radio show. Miley Cyrus is still in the news for various reasons, so we'll see. For her sake, I hope that she finds a good center and health and stuff like that. But yeah, the parallels were there. I had to run with them.
Do you think if Jessica Jones was made today that Trish Walker would have a podcast instead of a radio show?
I don't think so, because I think the point is that she's in, I'm not going to say a dying medium, but it's definitely a medium where she has a listenership and she's part of traditional media, but she's not where she wants to be, which is an actual journalist for a CNN type organization.
She definitely wants it, which is driving her to do a lot of the things that she does in this couple of episodes. And we'll get to that. So I Want Your Cray Cray was actually pretty interesting to me because it was a flashback episode. If I missed a marquee at the beginning, I'm sorry, but I think it's about 12 years in the past because they were talking about 17 years and then 5 years had passed. So it was in the 12-year range. So I'm calling it a 12-year-old flashback. Are we agreeing on that?
Sounds about right.
Yep.
All right. And you get to see what happened to Jessica's mom. Actually, you do go back all 17 years. So you go back to the actual car crash and what happened immediately after that. And you saw Alyssa, that's her name. You saw Alyssa, Jessica's mom, actually end up attacking Jessica and not realize what was happening 17 years ago. But then most of the episode actually occurs in the 12-year ago flashback. And Michelle and I know flashbacks pretty well, dealing with Arrow show quite a bit, although those flashbacks were generally 5 years in the past. This is 12 years, so I think we can deal with it. And Jessica's mom does have a temper that never goes away. It never goes. She's still dealing with that temper all the way to the end, which is current time.
Yeah, so we know that Doctor, whose name I blanked out on, although I know they say it, the one from season 1.
Carl.
Yeah, not Carl. The one who's working with Will.
Kozovich? No.
Kozlov. Yeah, we do know that the stuff that he stole and then used for military projects also had a side effect of like rage issues and things like that, as we saw with Will. And because I was giving some thought as to why Jessica's better able to control her temper than her mom, Alyssa is very badly injured. Like we see in the crash, she's basically on fire. When she wakes up, she's been very badly burned and scarred. And it takes basically 5 years for her to recover physically. I mean, she's still burned badly enough that she can't grow hair on her head. But I mean, it's basically a miraculous recovery otherwise, except for the side effect of the rage issues, possibly because they had to do more with her than with Jessica, who was relatively not that badly injured.
I'm not sure mandatory anger management classes is going to do anything for Alyssa. I think she actually needs a higher level intervention.
Well, Dr. Carl keeps talking about the drug cocktail that he's been working on for these past 12 years, promising her to get her to a point where she can see Jessica and interact with Jessica in a healthy way, not like the way she interacted with her earlier with that boyfriend who I know we'll talk about him, I'm sure. I thought it was interesting how Dr. Carl was like, oh, we don't know if your rage issues come from, like, maybe you had a mental illness before the accident. Maybe it was the brain trauma from the accident, maybe. And then later on, he's just like, yeah, I did this to you. I accept it. I did this to you.
He accepts it when he talks to her initially as well. He's accepting a lot of the guilt, but also since he's being a doctor of forensic analysis and he's trying to find out what exactly is wrong. And she did admit later on, like before the accident, she had ambition issues. And I don't know if that's an issue or not, but she did admit that she had some issues going on in her life, which could have exacerbated the condition that she's in now. But I don't think in any shape or means that she was this bad before the accident.
Yeah, she mentions how she was very ambitious and she got accepted for a teaching position at like a Michigan university and just all this stuff. But because Jessica's dad didn't want to move with her and support that career, she pushed it down and was teaching at a community college. And I can see why she would have the underlying rage issues. And not only has my career ideals been stifled, but now I'm in this very unhappy marriage, an increasingly unhappy marriage. And yeah, I think there could have been some brain trauma. I don't know if you've ever met anybody who's had like frontal lobe brain trauma, but because the frontal lobe is what controls like your emotion regulation and judgment, a lot of times afterwards you'll have issues with impulse control and with anger. If you ever heard about Phineas Gage, the kind of in the medical community legendary person who he was a railway worker who a pipe shot through his frontal lobe and he lived, but there was a personality change there afterwards. And it was kind of what got people realizing, oh, different parts of the brain do different things.
I had a acquaintance in middle school. Ironically, his name was Shane. He had a downhill skiing accident and ended up being a frontal lobe injury. And he also had a neck injury. So it took him a while to learn how to walk again. But he did have, I wasn't close friends with him after the fact, but we all kept tabs on him afterwards. And he definitely was having some issues with personality and impulse control and that sort of thing for the rest of his life. For all intents and purposes, he's normal now, not that he's ever going to be like he was. But yeah, I witnessed it firsthand. I haven't seen Shane in quite some time either. And as far as Alyssa goes, she was basically ready to do really serious harm to an Uber driver that was texting and driving. I know that tempers flare with taxi drivers in New York, but I think that was a little bit above and beyond. And Jessica knew what was happening, and she pulled her mom out of the situation before her mom did something rash.
We find out that her rage issues are better controlled these days, but when she feels like her life or the life of someone she cares about is in danger, that's when it kind of boils over. And in this situation, I can kind of see it as texting and driving can lead to accidents. She just got her daughter back. Her daughter and she were both nearly killed in a car accident. I can see the panic there. The panic and then, again, the rage bubbling up. Honestly, it's really heartbreaking watching her after she wakes up and realizing, like, I thought this scene was so well done where she wakes up and it's been 5 years and she's talking to Dr. Malice, Carl, and she's freaking out because she wants to know where her kids are. And it's just, it was really heartbreaking to watch, just that panic and that franticness. And I've known people who have had to be in comas, like months long comas. And yeah, it's I can't even imagine being a parent and finding out, 5 years have passed since you last saw your kids. And oh, by the way, one of them's dead. I think the actress did a fantastic job.
Yeah, I was wondering if somebody would really react that emotional upon hearing that right away. And I have no frame of reference, so I'm just going to leave that as it's a possibility that somebody could act like that in such a situation where they don't know about their kids or something like that. I'm not going to say it's possible or not. I think it was very dramatically done. So moving on, we are continuing the Arrow similarities here, Michelle, in that there's not a club for Daunt, but there's a club alias. Now, it never actually gets going, but Jessica Jones is trying to help her boyfriend Sterling start this club. And I don't know if she came up with the name alias or Sterling came up with the name alias, but I think alias becomes part of her persona from then on because of what happens here.
Sterling actually comes up with the name because later on we have Wyatt who comes and he actually gave Sterling money for the club and he actually says alias. So it seems that though Sterling comes up with alias, Jessica really thinks Sterling's in love with her, even though he is encouraging her to steal things. And it's only been a month. It's a very interesting relationship.
She kind of steals on her own, though, beforehand. That's how she's supporting herself. She goes around to ATMs and robs them, which they had cameras even back then. So I don't know why she didn't get caught.
I think that was the heat of the moment, arguing with Trish. I think that might have been the first time she really actually robbed at ATM, realizing that she can do it because of that heated moment that, again, we have that dichotomy of Jessica and Trish, who's taking care of whom. Jessica, like she's supposed to be Trish's sister. So in reality, is the parent taken care of, but the money actually came from Trish and her working as Patsy. So there is that feeling Trish has right then. It's like, this is all my money. And therefore I'm paying for your college, not my mom. I am. It's my money for the apartment because I worked for it because I'm Patsy. And now I recorded one of the most annoying songs ever with less than 20 words. It wasn't the first time I watched this. It was really bad. Now I was able to put on toss a coin to your witcher. So replace one earworm with another earworm. That was a lot more entertaining. So I was able to do that this time. But before, it was just awful for me.
I got to admit, I had the full home theater going on in the basement as I was watching this morning, and I had it on the sound system, the 5.1 sound system, and I turned it up. I backed it up, turned it up, and I listened to it just to, get the full effect of the club singing of Patsy.
Yeah.
Well, Sterling, I have to say, I don't know. I'm on the fence. In the last confrontation in the alleyway, it looked to me, he's a very smooth talker. So I'm not completely sure, but it looked to me like he was just trying to get out of it with a confrontation. And he said, yeah, give me 25% of everything just to not look like a complete pushover. And yeah, you can use Jessica. But there's part of me that says maybe he is this opportunist that is going to be Jessica's handler and demanding a fee from the deal. So what do you guys think? Was he actually just trying to get out of it, or was he trying to profit off of it?
I think he's the living embodiment of a Reddit "Am I the asshole?" post. We see him the very first time we see him, his boss is reprimanding him because he's not doing his job. And then he's like, oh man, running a club is an art. No, it's actually a business. You need to treat it like a business because you're a grown-ass adult. And that's when he quits suddenly in the middle of his shift and leaves. Jessica hooks up with him and he's like, oh no, I want to meet your sister. And then the first thing he does is try to get her to invest. Jessica drops out of school. Jessica is the one making all these sacrifices and stuff in that relationship. I don't think it was a healthy relationship. I think it was basically a rebound type thing for Jessica, because all of a sudden she's fallen out with Trish. She's very emotionally not unstable, but she has no place to go. She's already lost her entire biological family, so she thinks. And then the person that she's close to, her sister, she's losing her to addiction, to basically leech friends, in quotes. And she's resigning herself to the fact that she's going to lose Trish to like an OD at some point. I think she was at a very low point, and that guy took advantage of that. And I think she genuinely did think she loves him, and that's why we see that she's named her detective agency after the club they were going to start together. But I know it's horrible to say, but I'm not going to lose any sleep over Jessica's mom freaking out and killing him.
Yeah, Alyssa basically takes care of it. I don't think she meant to kill him. She just meant to knock his head around a little bit. But yeah, once she starts, she's not going to stop. And I don't know if she knew that at the time or not, because we are talking about 12 years ago. We're not talking about right now. And even now, she has trouble keeping a hold of her temper. And she basically clawed her way out of the basement. That's what happened. Yeah, I don't know if it was a Shawshank Redemption sort of move where she was using a spoon and some carving tools to get out of there or not, but she created her escape route through the back of the basement. And by the way, as a homeowner with a basement, you don't want to do that, because if it rains, and it looked like there was a lake back there. So if it rains, you're going to end up with a swimming pool in your basement.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was sort of thinking too. It's like, that's been there for weeks. And if unless she had some sort of a guard, I don't know, made some sort of makeshift door at the end to keep all the rain out, because technically it would have flooded and those books would have been warped and he would have known. How could have Carl not known there was a big hole in his basement? It's like, don't you walk around your house, Carl?
Do you want mold? Because that's how you get mold.
And ants.
And ants.
Yes. I also have well, not anymore, but usually I have somebody come around, spray the perimeter try to get rid of ants and insects and that sort of thing for the season. Several treatments, that sort of thing. But apparently not this year. Have to venture to the hardware store and get something to tide between now and when they can come back. So anyway, yeah, you have this going on. And it's not like it's in an inescapable room, especially for these two ladies. As I pointed out last week, you can go up through the ceiling, which is the floor of the first floor. So you can't sneak out and come back in that way, but you can get out. It's not like they are set in there. As long as they're not in the chains, they can get out. So I will believe that they can get out. But the whole, let's carve a hole into the basement foundation sort of thing, that's just never as a guy that's dealt with water issues in at least two of his properties, it's just not a good thing. Dorothy Walker is in this episode as well. That's Patsy's mom, Dorothy Walker, and she has not changed. You never see Dorothy in any other portrayal of the character than you see her in this episode. It's the same thing every time.
Dorothy's always working it.
She's basically Kris Jenner.
Okay.
She's the momager.
Yes. I'm glad someone, oh my gosh. I'm like, do people see what I see? And I'm like going, yes, Lauren sees it.
Yeah, she's working every angle, despite the fact that Patsy has at this point cut her out of her life. She's like, oh no, I'm representing one of her backup dancers. And it's like, oh lady, you're just trying to worm your way back into her life and control her. She's Kylie Jenner. She's Mother Gothel. I mean, not Kylie. She's Kris Jenner. She's Mother Gothel from Tangled. She's like every terrible mother figure. Just, ugh. And the thing is, I love the actress, so it's very complicated feelings.
And you had all that going on 12 years ago, and then you cut at the very end of the episode to modern time, and they basically end up drugging Jessica Jones, who's just standing there because at the moment she's there from the end of the previous episode, and you get this flashback throughout I Want Your Cray Cray episode 7, and at the very end of episode 7 you get the drugging, and then she's put in chains and she's got to wake up at the beginning of the next episodes. But okay, so that's how I Want Your Cray Cray went. We mixed some stuff with Ain't We Got Fun into it. In Ain't We Got Fun, we get a little bit more into the current time. We have Jerry's storyline of what's going on with her on multiple fronts, really, because remember, she is being forced out of her law firm, and she's asked Jessica to look in to dig up some dirt on her partners so that they can't force her out. You also have her quest to get rid of her ALS, and she's trying to find this healer from IGH, and her means into it is Inez, the nurse, who was there 12 years ago, and you see what happens to her too, both her and the other nurse. That was, I had to look away because it was just
okay.
Well portrayed.
Did y'all ever watch ER back in the mid to late 90s?
Right up until the helicopter came down. I stopped watching after that.
When I stopped watching too. But it reminded me so much of the Valentine's Day episode where Noah Wiley's character Carter and Kelly Martin's character both got attacked by a patient who was actually played by Mr. Universe from Serenity. But he attacked them, and when he stabs Noah Wiley's character, he falls down on the floor very similarly, and on the other side of the bed sees Kelly Martin's character bleeding out. And that episode made me cry so hard. But it's sort of that similar, you're down, something very bad has happened. I guess we see how she got all those scars now, because she got thrown through a glass fronted cabinet door. And the nurse that she was working with got her head turned completely around, and it was horrifying. And she's just lying there, unable to move. Remember, she said that she was almost paralyzed from it. And she's just staring at this horrifically dead body of somebody she was just talking to 10 seconds prior. So no wonder Inez is kind of messed up now.
Yeah, just a little bit. So to back up a second, you mentioned Kelly Martin. I watched Kelly Martin recently because I was going back and watching Hallmark Channel movies from this past year. She was in a movie with Colin Ferguson from Eureka, by the way. Colin Ferguson he's an older guy, right? So Kelly Martin's not young anymore either. But so there is an age difference, but Hallmark doesn't care about that. They just throw them together. And it was a decent movie, but that was the most recent time I've seen Kelly Martin. And yes, I do remember that from ER. It was, wow. Anyway, the whole Inez on the floor thing, and with I know it's just CGI or it's just great prosthetics
it's
and stuff makeup and stuff like that. But just seeing it's it made me turn away. And I don't turn away from a lot of stuff on TV. And well, maybe I do, but this was one of the things that I was like, I just don't want to see this right now. And you get to see where all of her scars come from that we've seen in previous episodes. And we see again as Jerry's
getting busy.
I don't know if she really has a thing for Inez or she's just using her. What do you think?
It's Jerry, so it could be 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Inez, now that we've seen her cleaned up, she's very attractive. And Jerry, as we've seen her, is not only very manipulative, but is she basically thinks she has a death sentence at this point. So she's taking her pleasures where she can find them, whether that's doing cocaine with a bunch of call girls, or in this case, having expensive champagne with the homeless woman who is crashing at her house. I think they're both possibly taking advantage of each other a little.
Champagne isn't cheap, at least the decent stuff isn't cheap, but I've never had a 200 bottle of champagne. Have either of you had the wonderful chance to sample a 200 bottle of champagne?
No.
Nope.
So I don't know what kind of delicious liquid delight it really is, but I'll take their word for it. The episode also had a lot of Jessica and Eliza. Jessica and Eliza's mother-daughter time, we'll call it. And they've left the house and I don't know. I think Jessica's mom is whittling her way into Jessica's life way too much for Jessica's comfort. Jessica brings her to the apartment. She doesn't have a next step. She says there's no guidebook or no rule book to dictate the plays that are going on right now. But I don't know if I would have done that. That's like inviting her a little bit too much in her life. However, I mean, she stalked everybody else. She must have known where Jessica lived.
Maybe.
Okay. We'll go with that.
Are you trying not to spoil us again?
I know. I don't really, because I know what happens. I know. Yeah. No comment.
Okay. I wasn't fishing for information there.
Yeah, I think Alyssa is very definitely, for all these years, for 12 years now, she's been wanting to reconnect with Jessica. And we saw her try to after she busted out and it didn't go well. And she had the presence of mind to realize, I am not well enough right now to reconnect with my daughter. But circumstances being what they are, and now they're back in each other's lives. And she's wanting to show her daughter she's proud of her. You know, she says, oh, you built all this. I'm so proud of you. She sees the painting. She meets Oscar. And she's I think in her mind, she's trying to be a good mom. But it's just that both of them are very damaged people. Jessica is extremely paranoid after everything she's been through. And it's definitely a reunion that could have gone better, which they point out at the beginning, that in all the ways that they thought of reconnecting, drugging Jessica wasn't one of them. But it's weirdly heartwarming and also kind of creepy.
So I have a personal story to tell here. Now, my mother didn't drug me, so we don't have to worry. At least I don't remember it. So let's not go there. My mother is a very lovely person. Everybody that knows her just she's an adorable person. But she was also the head of a blood laboratory at the University of Minnesota Hospital. And I was in high school, just being the typical high school person, and just in the middle of the winter, you just get kind of run down. And I actually fell asleep at the kitchen table eating my Cheerios one morning. And I woke up to my mom taking my blood in my arm because she wanted to do a white cell blood count, back in the lab. And so I learned, you don't move around when you got needle in you. So I didn't, but I was like, and my mouth actually still had Cheerios in it. Spit those out. I'm like, Mom, what are you doing? I'm taking your blood. Why? Because you fell asleep at the table. Mom, I'm 16 or 17, whatever it was. Yeah, this is what we do. We fall asleep. And she's like, I don't think so. So she took my white cell blood count. It was slightly elevated, but not too much. So anyway, that's my story of my mom. She didn't drug me, but she took my blood.
Okay.
I feel like we've learned something today.
Yes, we have.
I'm sure your mom is a very lovely woman.
Yeah, she is. She's great. Her name is Patty, by the way. Anyway.
It's Patty. It's Patty.
Not Patsy, Patty. So they bring up the raft, which we've seen in the MCU. We've seen the MCU version of it. I want to know, okay, what year are we talking about? I mean, we've talked about this before, right? What year are we talking about? Is it any relation to what we saw going on in the MCU? Who is actually in the raft at this point in time? I know it's probably irrelevant, but they bring this up and then I'm all excited about, the raft. They brought up the raft.
I think, aren't the Netflix shows usually kind of contemporaneous with the year they came out in? So I think this would have taken place around 2017, 2018.
Which was?
Ultron?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah, so I'm wondering who they think is in the raft. Anyway, they brought up the raft. I wanted to bring it up because it's part of the MCU and we talk about the MCU sort of thing.
Hashtag it's all connected, even though it's not really.
No, not anymore.
No. Boo.
Well, we've gone through this before, but Trish and her inhaler and Malcolm, and they're having some sort of relationship go on. I mean, they had sex, but sex doesn't actually have to equal a relationship. But Malcolm's not stupid. As I said last time, I kind of led into this last time not knowing what was going to happen here. And he calls Trish out on it. And not only does he call Trish out on it, but then he is forced to use it after the fact. And now he's all hyped up on this inhaler stuff. So now you got Jessica and Malcolm addicted to the same inhaler, I think they got to stick together. Otherwise, how do you share an inhaler for two?
Yeah, we see Malcolm is being his best detective self. He goes to the gay bar that's owned by by Stephen Benowitz, who is one of Jerry's legal partners that she's trying to get dirt on. And he can't bring himself to blackmail him. He just said, go home, tell your family. But he does imply that it's Linda Chow that does it, which is very smart on Malcolm's part. Turn them against each other. Leave your hands clean.
I think that was his plan all along. I think he went in there and said, okay, I'm not going to bust you for this, but I'm going to turn you both against each other. And he had that plan walking in. I have to hand it to Malcolm. He's got something going on upstairs. He shouldn't be an associate. He should be a partner.
He is smart. But afterwards, we see they leave the club. He's talking with Benowitz, and a group of guys comes by, drops the hard F slur. And it's not good. They pick a fight with Malcolm. Malcolm punches. They start beating him up. We just pointed out, I think the last episode before, he'd hurt his shoulder. So one of them slams him into the building and damages it again. So that's when Trish comes along in kind of a nod to her Hellcat persona in comics, scratches one guy down the face. That looked painful. And is then trying to get Malcolm to use the inhaler to heal his arm. Malcolm's like, no. But then finally does and realizes, oh no, what have I done? And runs. So I'm interested in seeing where that storyline goes. Because we've had a Malcolm who has, again, like we said, he's accomplished all this stuff. And, we saw him at his lowest in season 1. And now here being, we're complimenting him because he's so smart and he's doing a good job. And then it's like, oh, please don't fall back. You were doing so well.
I know he believed Trish. It's one of those where you have those TV doctors, and for audio listeners, I'm doing the air quotes for doctors, and they talk about this herbal supplement does this, and it's all herbal, it's natural, it's a natural enhancer. It's not an opioid, it's not meth, it's this natural thing, when in reality it is an opioid or some sort of adrenaline kicking drug. And it's just like, and Malcolm unfortunately falls for the whole Trish say it's just an enhancer. The military uses it. So it's okay. Do it.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. The military uses a lot of stuff that is counterindicated for everyday use. But okay, I want y'all's opinions. Do you think that he genuinely believed it, or he let himself believe it because he does have an addictive personality and then afterwards realizes he slipped up?
I think he slipped. Sometimes when you're on the wagon, you do slip and you do take a couple of steps back. He just had sex with Trish. He does have a thing for her. I think that's how he was trying to justify, this is Trish. She wouldn't steal me. She wouldn't do this to me. She wouldn't lie to me like this because she knows my past. And then he inhales it and he realizes, oh my goodness, I did it because I'm an addict. Oh, I gotta run.
I'll go a step further. I think both Trish and Malcolm have slipped. I think that Trish is trying to rationalize it, just like she was rationalizing it in the Cray Cray episode when you were dealing with the flashback years ago. And I think they're both there. Now, Malcolm isn't full bore slipped. I mean, he wasn't into, if there's levels of slipping, and I'm not an addiction expert, but just me viewing it on, I would say Trish was definitely way worse than Malcolm. But just the fact that Malcolm did it, I think he slipped a little bit, especially he just stood up to the guys. He's being one heck of an associate to Jessica. He's trying to take care of his life. I think the addiction that he has going into this is women, but he's got a thing for Trish right now. So maybe you're right there. I think maybe it's just connection with Trish with him, but he still slipped.
But yeah, I agree with Trish. Trish is completely off the wagon. She's completely addicted to that inhaler.
And, you know, I have a little asthma inhaler because I have allergies, right? And it comes with a counter now at how many puffs you have on it. And I know there's a limited supply in there. So I'm just wondering how many more puffs that she has, because Simpson had been using it before she got it. So I'm thinking they're going to run out pretty soon. And I'm not asking for any spoilers, Michelle, but just, you know, putting those steps together, there's a limited amount of puffs in the inhaler.
Yeah. And like just your normal albuterol inhaler, it's like 200 now, right?
150, 200, depends on what kind you get. Yeah.
A few years ago, there was smoke coming out of the AC unit that happened to be right next to my desk. And I got a couple of lungfuls of it and ended up having to get on an inhaler to try to heal everything. And yeah, I want to say it was like maybe 100. Yeah, you're right. 150, I think.
I think the last one they got when it was a brand new inhaler, it had about 150 on it. I don't use it much, but there are a couple of weeks during the year that I have to use it. And I'm telling you right now, really hesitant to use it because it's also a symptom of COVID-19. So,
yep.
Just, I don't know. Anything to deal with that is very iffy.
But the point is, she's going to run out real soon, especially if she's been using it as soon as the withdrawal sets in.
Oh, yeah. And it's getting shorter and shorter. So I'm wondering what kind of hangover Malcolm's going to have and if he wants another puff after the hangover or not. I don't know. Maybe he wants one and they run out. Again, I'm not looking for spoilers, Michelle, but these are all possibilities that the writers could have in mind.
Last week, I think we've pointed out that her hangover symptoms have been getting worse each time as like her body needs it more and more often. So I wouldn't be surprised if his initial hangover isn't terrible, but I mean, we'll see. Oh, okay. Is it just me or did like a lot happen these 2 episodes? I actually was wondering if I had accidentally let the show run over to the next episode and then got a little worried because, oh my God, how am I going to keep them all straight in my head? But no, it was just the 2 episodes.
I think a lot happened 12 years ago because you're putting all the flashbacks together. I don't know if we're getting another flashback episode or not. I'm thinking not, at least with season 2. And we don't have Jessica's honest to goodness origins, but you have a lot of the bits and pieces around it. So I don't know if you have to go back and do that. So there was a lot to cover there because you were covering a lot of years. And oh, by the way that they youngified both Jessica and Trish was great. They both looked a lot younger. And we saw the origins of the coat. I mean, she stole the coat, but at least we see where the leather coat comes from. I wanted to say that. But yeah, and in the second episode, there was a lot that happened as well because you get Jerry meeting Shane and Shane discovering that she has an illness and everything that it would do to him in order to cure her. And I don't know if he'd make it through it or not, but she's happy because she sees the possibility of it. And I don't know if she feels better after her visit with Shane or not. So you had that whole thing. You had the mother-daughter stuff going on with Jessica. Carl wasn't involved. He had escaped and he never came back from the beginning. You had Trish and Malcolm, their relationship and their addiction or their use of the drug. And you have Malcolm finding out what's going on with Jerry's partner. So there was a lot going on in an episode that I believe was 54 minutes, if I remember correctly.
Also, just real minor. You said that they did a good job youngifying them. I agree. Kristen Ritter looked genuinely like she was maybe 19, early 20s, sometime around there. But Trish, that wig was kind of very noticeably a wig.
It's Patsy's wig. She always had the wig. Remember the whole thing with the wig, right?
There's a thing on TV tropes, I think, where it's like, when you want to show time has passed, give a character bangs. And I feel like they really went for that with Trish.
Yeah, sure. Give me bangs. That'd be great.
Yeah, with Kristen Ritter, she looked kind of like she did in Breaking Bad a few years ago.
Yeah.
And the way that they showed her in the sleeveless t-shirt and her arms looked a lot thinner. I don't know if they really were or not, but she just looked a lot younger.
Yeah, that kind of horizontal stripe t-shirt she was wearing was, for a second I was like, is she still in high school? But no, it's supposed to be college. So wardrobe, fantastic wardrobe choices. Trisha's wig, they could have gone to a different wig store, and I think I would have been better with it, but it did fit Patsy of the time.
By the way, you're a big Ruthie Carter fan, right?
Yes.
I noticed
absolutely.
her credits as I was watching Cosmos Possible World. She's credited in that.
Yeah, Ruthie Carter, I got to actually meet her at Comic Palooza a few years ago. She's fantastic. It was right after her Black Panther win, I think. It was right before. It was like 6 months before her Black Panther
you knew her
win.
before she got famous.
No, if you want just like an excellent look down costume memory lane, look at Ruthie Carter's credits on IMDb. She's done just an amazing job for so many things, movies, TV, she's fantastic. She's incredibly nice in person. Yeah, I genuinely cried when she won the Academy Award for Best Costumes for Black Panther, because it's about time.
So for those saying, what the heck was she needed for in Cosmos Possible Worlds or any Cosmos series, you need to take a look at the series, because they do an excellent job of going back in time and dealing with some of the great scientists of the period and what they discovered and stuff like that. So they actually go back and do that. They do it through multiple different ways, some actual live action, some cartoonish in reminiscence of how they did it in the 80s, and then some newer cartoons or ways to graphically represent what's going on. So great stuff there. Okay, back to Jessica Jones. Sorry for that little Cosmos tangent and Ruthie Carter tangent, but
I'm not.
These two episodes. So Lauren, anything that we haven't covered that you want to talk about?
No, I think we covered most of it. The things that I was absolutely most into these two episodes were finding out more about Alyssa and her interactions with Jessica. I think the actress is doing a fantastic job, and it's emotionally hooking me, at least. I'm very excited to see where this goes in the rest of the season.
Michelle, are you glad you watched these two episodes again?
Yes. Part of me is tempted to go and watch things, so when we do the podcast together, I know what's going on, but I'm going to resist doing that because I think that's happened too much, and it would be nice to finally watch something together, like for the first time, because I know where this goes, and I'm really having to bite my tongue, and I can't wait for when we can wrap this up and we can have the therapy session, because I know what happens.
Okay, 3 weeks. 3 weeks from now, you get to have your therapy session. All right, so next week we'll be running down Jessica Jones Season 2, Episode 9, aka Shark in the Bathtub, Monster in the Bed, and Season 2, Episode 10, aka Pork Chop. So what we'll be doing next week. In the meantime, I think we're all going to need to go down to our basements, check for holes and insects. We're just going to get out and do that right now.
And then sell them to Tom Nook.
We decided against doing any new segments this week because, quite frankly, there really isn't any with everything closed. And we will get back to that segment as soon as we find out anything. And we thank everybody that has given us feedback, both on the Discord. It's a couple of new messages on the Discord and in Twitter. Thank you very much. We really appreciate that and sticking with us throughout this watch of Jessica Jones.
Yeah, not only thank you to everybody who's listening, but thank you to American Liberty, who popped by in chat today. Yeah, we're happy to have something to do during all this isolation. And if what we're doing in our enthusiasm is making your day a little better, a little easier to bear, then I am absolutely thrilled and humbled. If you want to call in, if you want to tweet us, if you want to hop in chat and just hang out, share opinions, recommend stuff. I mean, yeah, we're all here for that. And I mean, keep on keeping on. Lots of big hugs to everyone right now.
Virtual hugs.
Virtual hugs. 6 feet apart.
Yes, again, lots of virtual hugs. We're getting through this together in a positive way. So thank you, everyone, for interacting with us and listening. I hope we do bring a little either joy or perhaps oddness to your life.
Well, if it's me on the podcast, it's definitely odd. So there you go. All right. Until next time, I'm Director SP.
I'm Agent Lauren.
And I'm Agent Michelle.
See you guys next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
How much can I get for insects?
It depends on the insect, actually. You can, usually it's like 100 some, 200 some bells, but there's some you can get like a couple thousand.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
All about them bells.
Thank you for listening. If you want to leave us feedback, go to gonnageek.com and you will find all our contact information and other shows. You can also visit legendsofshield.com where you'll find our complete archive of podcasts. The music heard on this podcast is by Kevin MacLeod, found at incompetech.com, and also artists on pond5.com and audiojungle.net. The opinions heard on this podcast are those of the individual hosts and do not represent Stargate Pioneer Productions, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D, or Gonna Geek. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the property of the Disney Corporation, Marvel Studios, and ABC. No infringement is intended. Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is copyright 2013 through 2020.